All right, I think we're going. Are we going? Yeah, we are going live. It says so. We're going live, and the red little clock ticker counter is moving. Welcome to another installment of KloobySnacks. We're at a special start time for you. This is 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast. What's happening in New York today, Abby?
It's the first big snow. We've had little snow, little drizzle. I don't know what it's called. I don't know the snow terms yet, but it's the first real snow. I don't know if we'll be able to see anything. Hold on. Can you see anything at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God.
It's covered in
right
snow.
There, right into How about that?
It's everywhere.
That little mosquito was flying by that I grabbed with my bare hand right now. All right. So yeah, we're at a special. It's the holiday season, and what's going on in my home office? I don't know if you can see, but there's a Christmas tree in the home office, which is about to get moved. Actually, I'm going to move my office upstairs, so no longer am I going to be in Grand Central Station down here. So that's exciting. Winds of change are blowing all around. It's kind of cool. And so I'm excited for today's KloobySnack also. By now, everybody out there should know KloobySnacks. It's the 5th made for social media book that I've done that's got 52 standalone, bite-sized or digestible or easy to read tips. In this case, it's motivational quotes this year. But just as a matter of review, we've done the entrepreneurial edition, Get a Clue in 52. We've done the speaker edition. We've done the coaching edition. And the OG, the original Get a Clue in 52 was a practical guide to expanding self in business. And most of these had 5 categories. And it was always a little awkward. Where would the extra 2 tips go? We'll do 11 here, 11 there, or 12 there, and 9 there. But this year with KloobySnacks, it's been different. They break up evenly, beautifully into 4 baker's dozens. 4 times 13 is 52. And that's the most math I'm going to do, especially during live streaming. And so we've gone through these baker's dozens, and we're inching towards the end of the year. We started in loving flavored, and then we moved on to ego flavored, and then discipline flavored. And now we are in integrity flavored. Abby, I'm in a jovial mood because of the holidays, but can I give a shout out? Speaking of integrity flavored, shout out to Tracy Ward, who gave me this gift with the book cover for the integrity game on a mug. It was at a professional networking social event earlier in the week, and I was able to actually drink beer out of my integrity game mug. It's coffee this morning, but shout out to Tracy Ward of Talent Forward Strategies, who is an all-star in this year's 90-day challenge. Quick word about the integrity game. It's a business parable. It's not a tips book. It's a parable that introduces a 10-point model that helps me deliver personal and professional growth. And it has a prequel as well, Uncommitted. So yeah, I just went through my list of 7 self-published books, but we all know my favorite is this one. We all know, Abby, come on. We know that KloobySnacks is my favorite. It's unlike any other project. And here we are in the 50th week of the year. We're going to be reading today, KloobySnack number 50. It is the 11th in the integrity flavored section, baker's dozen, and it's deep actually. And before I get into it, let me just talk to you a little bit, Abby. What are your thoughts about 50? It's a big number. It's in my face. So do you have any feelings about the holiday season inching towards the end? Talk to me a little bit.
It's really weird because I feel like we've been this project has been going on for so long. We're with the just talking about the book and then actually writing it, and now we've been doing these live streams for the past almost year, and it feels really weird being at 50 now, because there's 2 left, one of which I responded to, the other one you did, so there's only 2 more responses of mine in here, including today, and I'm at the end of it and at the end of the year, and it's just weird because it just feels like it was, I don't know, we've been in it for so long, and now it's what, it's interesting.
Yeah, for me, this is the 6th time that I've spent the entire year doing a live stream, reading a tip and having conversation around it. But to go through this with you and to go through this in your transition year, when we started all of this, you were a senior in high school. Mm-hmm. Now you're completing. So it's your first year of college. It's just, I don't know. I think we've been excited about it all the way through, but I also think that I don't know if it's one of these things that maybe we don't even realize as excited as we are about it, how special it is and how awesome it is that we've been able to do this together and share it out there onto the platforms and get the recordings, of course, and I've made it talking points in what I've been able to do professionally, and it works. KloobySnack, there's a place in the world for KloobySnacks, and it's brought us together in really amazing ways. And anyway, it's hard not to be nostalgic already, and the end is near. So it's this and 2 more weeks after this, and we'll put a bow on this project. But we've got work to do today, and that is to get into KloobySnack number 50. Do you have any other comments or questions before I do a review of snacks in the integrity flavored section?
Nope.
Oh, I still have to create. That's right. I got to create the banner. I got to create the banner for number 50. All right. I'll do it in real time. Let me go ahead and do a review so far. So when we started off in the integrity flavored section, number 40, right? Behavior is the evidence of our integrity. That's the first snack in the integrity flavored section. Then honesty is a strategy. A lie is a tactic. This is one of these pieces that I allowed you to wordsmith out of its original wording into, something that was more comfortable for you. I'm reading the book right now, Who Not How, and it really emphasizes the point that when you find a who that has their own how, to let them do their how rather than impose your how upon your who, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so number 42, accountability will always feel like an attack when we're not ready to be 100% responsible for our own behavior. I will tell you, I might circle around to this, but that is something that I'll always say when I'm doing the integrity game keynote, because the integrity game is born in the land of accountability. So when I get to a slide like this, where when I pull this slide up, it's a little blurry, but these are the 3 pillars of leadership in the integrity game, is always from the accountability section over here. I'm seed planting because I had an experience 2 weeks ago and last week that ties into the snack that we're doing today. But this quote right here is one of the things that stuck out to my evaluator. I was evaluated in my classroom at San Diego State 2 weeks ago on December 3rd, I want to say. And the talk was on mental health. And the part that ties into what we're talking about today is the role that beliefs play in our mental health. And I wanted to, right, I'm going to have more story later, but I just want to say for now that before I got into like the mental health and the beliefs and the authoring state of mind piece, which is what I really wanted to give to my students when I was still doing high level overview. And I said, hey, accountability will always feel like an attack when we're not ready to be responsible for our own behavior. My evaluator wrote that down and approached me afterwards and said, hey, I really appreciated that line. That's going to be helpful for me heading into my meetings with my colleagues, because there are people all around me that aren't ready to be responsible for their behavior. So it's hard to get the instruction and the constructive critiques through and the resources through when people are just on the defensive, rather than receiving that information as a boost or a help up. The ego defense comes into play. And we've talked about all these things all year long. It's fascinating. So I thought I would do a little bit of elaboration on that particular snack. It's powerful and it's true. All right, number 43. We are never guilty of ignorance, but we are always guilty when willfully ignorant. Hats off to you again, Abby, because I don't think that this snack was totally formulated with its final wordsmithing until we dialogued. And I think it was through our dialogue that produced the final version of this snack. So fun, super fun to collaborate with you. 44. Critical thinking creates ideas. Strategic thinking makes them work. Not again to you. My original wording on this was confusing. It was verified by an adult. Shout out to Jennifer Horspool, one of our many advanced screeners and advanced praisers of the book. She totally agreed with you. She says, Abby's right, Jeff. Abby's right, Jeff. And I'm like, I know she's right. Okay. All right. Number 45. Never let the possibility of not achieving your goal prevent you from pursuing your goal. That's one of a couple of snacks that we have in this section related to goal setting. A lot of times, the value of pursuing a goal isn't, how should I say, limited to achieving the goal. Just getting on the path. And maybe even if that path takes you in a different direction, you never end up achieving that goal. The value of the goal was setting it and getting you onto the path so you could be in action towards whatever you're supposed to be doing. So people will just equate success with full 100% goal achievement. That'll prevent them from setting and pursuing and prevent so many other possibilities. But we don't play that game. We go for it. All right. 46. If you don't know your purpose, how can you ever know what anything is really worth, right? Can't build a mansion on quicksand and can't really evaluate the value of anything if you can't compare it to something else, right? Counting, evaluating, comparing, right? All right. Next, Many people say they have to, and truthfully, they choose to, right? It's really important to slow down. Do I have to? Am I choosing to? Do I want to? Have to? Choose to? Need to? Such gray areas and fine lines in between these terms. But a lot of times we have convinced ourselves that we have to do something. And it's really important to like audit that and then reevaluate and say, well, what am I avoiding by believing I have to do this? What else am I not doing? Or what am I avoiding? Or what could I be doing instead? And the have to will prevent us from even asking the question. And I bet there's a lot of fruitful answers waiting on the other side of asking the question. Do you really have to?
No.
All right. 48. Many people confuse a goal with a hope, a wish, or a dream. And this is not about like what I talked about before, which is the value of setting and pursuing. But this is more about the difference between one of my mentors, Brian Tracy, taught me that everybody's favorite vacation destination is someday I'll. Right? Someday I'll. Okay. And, when we are specific, when we're measurable, when we're time bound, these elements of the SMART goal setting methodology, which we've changed, right? In the integrity game, we add an A, we changed the R to focus more on behavioral change, but just adding specific, measurable, and time-bound takes it away from hope, wish, or dream to goal, right? We want accountability to be in there, and people avoid that. A lot of people avoid goal setting. It's amazing, despite knowing how successful or how common it is that successful people are sharing the trait of goal setting. It's amazing that like less than 3% of the population sets goals, writes them down, shares them with a coach or an external accountability source. It's amazing. All right, number 49. This was last week, Abby. This is actually, I want to stop here and ask you to talk about this a little bit. And this is going to give me the chance to create the banner for number 50. Oh, I don't know how to do this. For some reason, this banner wants to time out. Oh, wait, no, I think I got it. Timer off. Okay, I just found it. I was trying to do this in real time last week, is figure out how to turn the timer off, but now I got it. All right. It kept on disappearing every 10 seconds. It was driving me nuts. All right. So give yourself a chance here, and I'm going to take some coffee. But here's where you're at the end of your semester. It's a crazy time. The fatigue, the stress, classes, plus mom was in town last week and you had to make time for her, got to make time for her, had to make time for her, right? So by the time KloobySnacks rolled around last week, you were asleep and didn't hear your alarm, right? Yeah. So I went through this and tried as best as I could. It hasn't happened a lot this year, less than 10 times. I think it's been pretty awesome. But I always feel inadequate trying to like voice your thoughts. And so I even said in last week's stream that hopefully this week we'll have enough time and you can actually read it. And we'll do 2 for 1 today. Is that fair? And the fact, and you reading this one will give me time to create the banner for today's number 50. So here it is. Last week's snack, number 49, and I'll screen share and everything. We must be as clear. And by the way, this is one of my favorites. We must be as clear about the things we want to learn as we are accepting of the things we must learn. Let's see if we can get some screen sharing going and let you read on that one. And that will, oh, and by the way, bear with me as I switch, open recent files, open all from last session. Bing, 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 bing. Where's KloobySnacks? There we go. Okay. So let me scroll and get to, can you see my screen, Abby? Yeah. Yep. All right. So again, just while I'm here, we're in the integrity flavored cookie jar. Right. And so here's a review of the snacks that we covered. There they are. Behavior is the evidence of our integrity. Honesty is a strategy. A lie is a tactic. Accountability will always feel like an attack. It's just fun to go through this visually. I really, love so many things about this book. And then especially how we landed on the interior design. Hats off to Stella.
You're scrolling past it. You're scrolling past it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, here we go. All right. Here we go. And then here's me in my all caps kind of writing, trying to draw our attention to these words that I think are important to emphasize. So we must be as clear about the things we want to learn as we are accepting of the things we must learn. Abby, go ahead.
This KloobySnack is powerful, yet it's composed of so many parts that it gets a bit confusing. Well, at least it did for me. To understand this KloobySnack, I realized it's best to break it into a few parts as follows. First, being clear. Being clear about what you want is one of the easiest ways to get what you want. When I was in elementary school, my dad was often the one in charge of feeding me and my siblings dinner due to my mom constantly traveling. We'd get in the car after school and my dad would ask us what we wanted for dinner. I always knew exactly what I wanted, yet the words "I don't know" always jumped out of my mouth. He then proposed different restaurant options, all of which I turned down. When he asked me what I wanted, I didn't give a response, but when he offered me options, I said no to them all. Though the car was physically moving, he and I were getting nowhere. So, after a few frustrating car rides and dinners at restaurants I didn't want to go to, I realized the power of being clear. That's the first part of this KloobySnack. Second, wants versus needs. Though our wants are what tend to motivate us, life isn't just about what we want. Our wants are balanced by our needs. I might want to finish an entire tub of 50's pistachio ice cream, but my body needs fuel from a real meal. I might want to stay up on my phone all night, doom scrolling through TikTok, but my body needs substantial sleep. I might want to take only classes that interest me in school, but I need to take core curriculum classes such as math and sciences. What we want to learn versus what we must learn operates the same way. Often, the things we must learn come before the want, using the must learn as a foundation for the directions in which we want to grow. When we're clear about the things we want to learn, such as things that interest us, confuse us, or intrigue us, then we willingly seek that knowledge. After breaking the KloobySnack up a little bit, it's much more digestible. Our needs serve as the foundation for our wants to build off of, allowing us to further enjoy the wants. Dessert always tastes better after we've had our dinner.
Yeah. All right. So thank you. What are your thoughts on that before we move on to KloobySnack number 50? What do you got? I always ask, would you write it the same way now? Do you remember what you were thinking back then? Is it similar or different? Do you feel more evolved? Do you see it more clearly? All of the stuff, Abby. Let's hear what you got.
I don't remember writing my response to this one. There's many that I go back and I remember, but this one I really didn't. And I agree with it. And I think that I resonate with it a lot now when I talk about like the classes that we want to take, but versus the classes we need to take. Like right now, obviously I'm taking fun classes. Like I'm taking a journalism class, but I also have my math class. And it's even though I can be as clear as the things that I want, I know I want to pursue journalism. I know I want to take classes based off of it. I also have to be accepting of the fact that there is math classes I have to take. I have to take Spanish later on. I have to take science classes. And it's I don't want to do it, but there's nothing that me not wanting to do. I don't want to do it, but that doesn't change anything. I still have to. I still have to go to those classes and learn as much as I have to go to the ones that I want to go to, which has been a little difficult. But just kind of there's so many really cool journalism classes that I can take, but it's I need to take my finite math and I need to take a lot of Spanish classes and I need to take a lot of science classes too. And I have to take my philosophy and my theology and all this stuff. And it's me saying I don't want to or complaining about having to take them doesn't get me anywhere because end of the day, I have to. So being as accepting about that as I am willing and wanting to take my fun classes. So that's I probably lean into that a lot more. Because I think that's in high school, there is a few elective classes, but all the classes that you take are really just to fill the requirements because there's so many requirements. It's I like the writing classes more than the science ones, but overall all the classes are stuff I have to take. I was never presented with journalism ethics classes and all this all these fun things that really interest me. So it's I was talking about the classes in my response here, but it's I really I did not know what it was going to be now. When it's there's a really stark difference between the classes I want to take and the classes that are for my major that I want to pursue versus the core curriculum that I don't want to do, so I'd probably lean into that a lot more.
Yeah, general education, as it's called, and it's it's if I could go back, right, I'd want to take all of them. I'd want to take all the classes, every single one. You know what I mean? If I was if I won the lotto, if I became independently wealthy, snap the fingers, what would I do? I would hang out at university all day long and just try to audit different classes or just stay enrolled and keep on taking classes because it was a fantastic time. And then it's interesting that you bring up classes because it would be great to be 18 or 19 years old again, right? Are you there? Did you freeze? Oh no, she looks frozen. Come back, Abby. The thing about this, right? Anyway, I'm just going to continue my thoughts. Let's hope she comes back and unfreezes. but it's funny to see this through an 18-year-old's eyes, right? What classes do I have to take? What classes do I want to take? I'm writing this like through an adult's eyes. Like, what do I need to learn? Like from like a therapeutic perspective, what identity and shedding skin and letting go of grudges and patterns and habits and evolving as a person. Are you there, Abby? You seem like you're coming back now. Yeah.
Hear you. I can hear you, but my computer's hear everything. Wait, maybe I should unplug it. What do I think? I can see. I'm really glitchy. I'm gonna plug my. It's bad.
Yeah. Did you hear the distinction I made though? Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, do I want to take this class or do I have to take this class? And I'm thinking like, what do I need to learn to forgive my parents? Or what do I, am I my brother's keeper? And how responsible for my brother's health am I? And, how do I break through to new and next levels in my career? And how do I stop self-sabotage and get rid of feelings of inadequacy from childhood? And I'm talking about those things that I must learn. It's very funny, I think, right? Did you have a comment on that?
Interesting. I mean, I think there are definitely things like that where it's like I have like bigger things and just like learning, but I think like in regards to like where I am now, like there's that, and I think that's like specific to like that like not like struggle necessarily, but that issue is like specific to me now. But then there are things I think that like I have to learn versus things I want to learn that are more like long term and like and bigger in like terms of like their scale and also how relatable they are. And I think there are those things. I don't know what I would write about, but I don't like there definitely like I'm there definitely is. But
well, what have you learned about yourself this year? Right. When we've talked about all through the year, like picking your battles wisely and not having to win every argument, or considering other people's perspectives, before just living autobiographically but out of instinct and not, giving yourself an amount of time to imagine the world through other people's lenses. I mean, these are a lot of things that you've been learning about yourself. Yes or no?
Yes. And also I think that if I were to talk about like just the classes, I can relate to the, like, I love to figure out like what I'm good at and like what my like talents are, what I can do, but it's like you don't love to learn what you're not good at and like find what where you struggle or where you just like lack skill. So I could definitely like I would probably relate it to that with like I know that I'm good at writing. I love to like go and like expand that, and like any class in general where it's like fueling like ideas and like analysis and stuff like that. But then pushing myself in the classes I'm not good at. Not even in just like classes, but just in general, like things I'm not good at, like you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I think I would like when it's like expanding what you or like learning about what you are versus like not good at would be something.
Yeah, I think that there's, you've heard me talk at times. I think you've heard me talk at times about this concept I have about conflicting success principles, right? Like, and it ties into where we're going with the next KloobySnack, right? Mm-hmm. So I just want to let you know, to just be fair, right? It's like, well, what is time money or is patience a virtue? Are they both true? And how does that work? You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a second, if I never quit, then I'll never lose. If I never give up, if I just keep going, then I can't be beaten because I haven't given up. And then, I should cut my losses. I better know when to cut my losses. This is like, I'm bleeding out. You follow? Mm-hmm. So it can be confusing, right? Because we hear all these different success principles. And I'm going to tell you very honestly that I've heard it both ways. Are you ready? On the one hand, I've heard, turn your weaknesses into strengths. Turn your weaknesses into strengths. Find out where what you're bad at, the one chink in the armor, right? The one hole in the boat, and shore that up and turn that into a strength. I've also heard, are you ready? Play to your strengths and delegate your weaknesses, right? And I'm leaning more towards this side, right? When I talked about this book that I'm reading right now, Who, Not How, right? There are people that are really good at stuff that would love to do the stuff that we don't want to do, on and on and on. So let's find them and get them involved. But we always ask ourselves, how do I do it? We're trained to ask about the how. And that's what screws us up, because often the answer to that question is a bunch of stuff that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm leaning, but here's what I will say to bridge the gap and to integrate the two conflicting success principles. Okay. At your stage, Abby, you are not doing this general ed. You're not doing these things that you don't want to do, having to take these classes that you don't want to take because you're not good at it, or I'm not going to do that in my life. Why do I have to take this class?
Mm-hmm.
You're not taking the class because you have to do it in your life or because you're going to do it in your life. You're taking the class to have a collective experience, the core curriculum, a collective experience, general education, a collection of experiences where you were in uncomfortable situations, challenged to do something that didn't come instinctual, wondering how you were going to compete and advocate for yourself and figure out what you needed to know. Not so you could do that the rest of your life, but so that never, ever again, the rest of your life, will you ever be intimidated by an uncomfortable situation where you don't know everything. You'll always be able to believe in yourself and have the experiences of fighting through this collection that you're developing right now. Mm-hmm. So it's not about the subject matter, physical geography or mathematics. It's about, hey, I'm here, I'm showing up. I don't like this, I don't want this, but what I do like is building my resilience, building my capacity to solve problems and learn and overcome and ask for help and learn from others and whatever it takes. And no, I'm not going to do math the rest of my life, but now the experience of who I am in a math class that I didn't want to take up front is now something that I can take with me the rest of my life. Do you know how many people, like everybody, do not want to take public speaking?
I would.
You would. But so in my class, and in 22 people, there's 5 that want to be there. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Right? There's 5 that are comfortable with being there. 2 that want to be there.
Yeah.
Okay. But by the time they finish my class, they've gotten over their fear. They've learned how to organize their thoughts. They've stood up and presented. They didn't want to take the class. No, they're not going to be a speaker. But anytime the rest of the career they have to present their ideas, they're not going to be afraid of it. They're going to have resources and memories to fall back on. They're going to believe in themselves. And so that's why you're doing what you're doing. You follow? Sorry to be a little bit of dad there, but are you with me? That's how I got a frog in my throat. That's how you bridge the gap between turn your weaknesses into strengths or play to your strengths, delegate your weaknesses. I think, hey, our ability to be resilient, that's definitely a muscle that we want to build, right? Resilience plays everywhere, right? Finishing what we start, that plays everywhere, right? Knowing who we are, that plays everywhere. Challenging ourselves. I saw another quote that C players, they want comfort. B players, they want credit. And A players want pressure.
True.
Get down. So we know who you are. You're an A player. Anything else about snack number 49 before we move on to this week's snack number 50?
I think we're good.
Let me clear my throat real quick. This is a little embarrassing, but it's live. We're going to go for it. I think that's going to creep up. All right. I think because when you get emotional, because we're about to talk about something heavier, and I'm just loving on you right now, Abby. So the emotions are creeping up, and that's what makes your throat start to want to fight itself. So here we go. KloobySnack, get down. 100% of our behavior is preceded by a belief. We were just talking about beliefs, right? And conflicting success principles, beliefs, and which one do I focus on in any given moment? Okay, boy, here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You're like, every time I ask that, you're like, Dad, Klooby, I'm the one that's ready all the time. You got to stop talking for me to actually go. I know what you're
exactly what I was thinking.
Of course I'm ready. All right, here we go. 100% of our behavior is preceded by a belief. Go ahead.
Whenever my dad, or anyone for that matter, asks me why I did something, I'll frequently respond with an I don't know, accompanied by a shrug of my shoulders. Maybe a head tilt if I'm feeling crazy. I don't know is the simplest way to avoid explanation of my actions, but it's never true. Behind everything we do, there is a why. As the laws of physics say, every action has its equal opposite reaction. I don't know much about physics, or anything about physics for that matter, but I do know a lot about intentions. Every decision that I make comes from a belief of mine or is justified by one of my beliefs. In order to have the action, something needs to come before it. That something being a belief. The concept is not very complex, and the beliefs are often repetitive. After a few deep minutes of reflection, I've narrowed down what my most prominent belief is: the belief that I'm always right. I'm humble enough to recognize. Like, what am I saying? No, I land in a second. Just give me a second to land. I'm humble. Stop. I'm humble enough to recognize the very, very, very few times I've been wrong, but I do like to tell myself that I'm always right. This fabricated belief, believe it or not, has gotten me far. I wouldn't consider myself to be a confident person, but I would say that I'm capable of coming off that way. During class discussions, I'll gladly argue against my classmates, defending whatever point I deem to be right. It's quite likely that my points aren't right, but the confidence stems from the belief that I am. Another belief that encourages a good amount of my decisions, mostly the bad ones, is the belief that I won't get caught. This belief has driven my decisions since I can remember. There are old photos of me, probably age 5, climbing pantry shelves, trying to reach the candy buckets hidden on the top shelf, well out of my reach. Why would I ever go well out of my way to do something I was clearly not supposed to do? Because I thought I would never get caught. Though 5-year-old me was quite capable of outsmarting my parents, I wasn't always successful. Hence the photo evidence taken of me climbing said shelves. As much as I love to use the I don't know excuse, the excuse just isn't true. There is a reason for every action we take, whether or not we're aware of it prior to our actions. Our beliefs act as those classic angels and devils perched on our shoulders, encouraging or discouraging our actions, thoughts, and words. True.
Yeah. So this is I was just looking for did we put that?
No, we didn't put the photo, and I don't think I like made a point to tell you that I mentioned that photo.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I have time to find it. Maybe in between now and next week's episode I'll find because I could if we took a couple minutes, but we're live streaming right now. We're over 30 minutes and there's other things I wanted to get to. So first of all, again, what was it like reading that over a year later? You haven't looked at it in over a year, and now you are who you are, and we've talked about what we've talked about, and we've done the run of snacks. And what's going through your mind when you read your response? I'll just say it's one of my favorite responses that you've written. There's so much humor and wisdom in your response. But What do you got?
Well, one, I think I'm hilarious. Let me just say that was funny. And it's fun going back and reading my writing, and because I don't remember it, so I'm like, wow, like I really said that. And it's like, yeah, I did. And I do what you're saying. I do like when I say something that's like, it's like funny and it feels very me, and like writing about how I think I'm always right and how I also think I'll never get caught doing anything. But in a way that still addresses and explains what you're trying to get across. I think that it's very representative of like we're talking about bridging you versus like you, not versus me, but you and me, and our thoughts and beliefs. If I was writing it now, I don't know if I would write it that way. I don't know if I would, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if and I still really am the same person, but it's like before I was in high school, I was freshly 17. Like I'm able to write stuff like that. And it's still like, but now it's like, am I allowed, like, would I be allowed to just say that? Like, oh, like, I think that I'm always right. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what I would say, but are
you saying you think you would continue being even more open and vulnerable and honest with a splash of humor to make it fun?
I think that's the writing
or do you think that you'd be more closed and guarded about your identity because you're still evolving and forming and you want to be careful about how you present to the world? Like open or guarded? What do you?
I think that I would still be open because I still am me. That doesn't really like change, and I think I'd still go the humorous route. I don't know. I was just I haven't revisited this KloobySnack since writing it, or in any reason. I haven't visited it recently at all. So then like when I was reading it, I was like, wow, like I don't know. I was surprised by myself. So I don't know what I would say. I think I would still continue to be open because I have been throughout the entire book and even now talking about it. Yeah, and I think that when I remember this KloobySnack wasn't something that I had ever thought about before, or something that you had kind of introduced to me slowly when you were like the whole like I don't, like when you would ask me why I did something and I'd be like, I don't know, and you're like, no, you do know, like there's always a reason. And I was like, no, there literally isn't, like I don't know why.
If you did know, what would it be?
So
I know you feel that you don't know, but if you knew, what would you know?
No. But I think it's a thought that I hadn't really considered before. But I think that like since reading it and like now, like it's been helpful. And I don't know if I directly like realized that I'm making this connection, but when like if something happens, somebody does something, like instead when I'm like thinking about the why, I'm not thinking about like, oh, why, what's the immediate reason as to why they did this, like what were they feeling that day, but like what does this one action say about what they believe or how they view me, how they view this like relationship, how they view this friendship, how, like, you know what I mean? So when I'm like thinking about or questioning or addressing like short-term like recent issues, like still thinking about it in the long run, like, okay, what does that say about what this person believes or how they view me or how much they value me, rather than just like okay, like what were they feeling that day? Because everything, all of our like actions are connected to something bigger, whether or not we realize while taking it, or you know what I mean? So and I think I go back to this without realizing it when it comes to just like questioning other things or even myself, and it's like, okay, why did I do that? What do I value or believe or deem important or unimportant? So I think it's an interesting way when it like comes to like perspective about like viewing something and something so current, so now, but in relation to everything. Yeah.
Well, this is one of those entries from your part, and I'm going to screen share to it again. This is one of these deals that represents healing. For me to be able to read with my eyes that you're acknowledging that you knew when you said you didn't. You're acknowledging, right, that you're justifying, that you're demonstrating that you understand that there's a limiting or a false or a dangerous belief that allows you to do something, or the belief on the other end to get you out of it, etc. These things, right? Every decision I make comes from a belief of mine or is justified, either comes from or is justified by. I think that's really insightful. I mean, this is one of these things where I'm like, oh, I'm getting through to her. It's your words and you wrote it, but I do think that this is representative of you seeing me and hearing me and being able to receive some of the things that I want you to learn without being on the defensive. Does that make sense? Back to what we talked about earlier, accountability always feels like an attack when we're not ready. Well, to me, this shows that you being more ready to be responsible for your own behavior. You're not threatened by it, and you're so not threatened by it or less threatened by it that you can be like comedic and really, a great writer and funny and insightful and ahead of your time among people in your age class by stepping into this responsibility for your behavior. So we're talking about, believing you're never going to get caught, or believing that you're always right, or, to be able to see, for me, to be able to see insights into the responsibility you can take, even though you do it with humor and sass and all of your bravado, still at core, it's what a dad would want to see is progress towards your ability to take 100% responsibility for your behavior. We never get there. We're never 100%, but we're willing to, or we're moving in that direction. And that's what I'd want to see for you as a dad. And again, it's not like, gotcha. I knew, I got you. I caught you doing this and you lied there and you were, you know what I mean? That's not what it's about. It's about having a conversation that helps you grow and helps you evolve towards this ideal that we've been working towards. So I see a lot in here. It's validation for me. It's healing for us. It's like, you're not saying, hey, Dad, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But it's in there. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not saying, hey, Dad, you were right. But it's in there.
Yeah.
You follow. So to me, this is like one of your ways of really owning your contributions to our struggles, and where the pressure comes off of me, where 100% of the health of our relationship is on my shoulders, and I'm constantly having to walk on eggshells or defend my behavior or be misunderstood when I'm trying to give you these lessons. And like, so this is why it was tear jerking and emotional for me to see this, like, it's like, I didn't give up. I never gave up. I could have checked out, like, well, whatever, she's out of here soon. Can't wait until she graduates, wherever. It's not my problem anymore. The world will take care of her. She'll learn the hard way. Like, I didn't go there. I never was willing to go there. I was willing to fight, no matter what it took. And look at what we did, And so this is one of these snacks that really iconifies the struggle and how hard I fought to be the best dad I could possibly be, mistakes and warts and all. look what we've done, right?
Sure.
And so, and then the other things that I'd want to say real quick is, you know, I referenced this, and I was evaluated in my class, and you know, here's what's interesting about that, Abby, and, you know, shedding skin and evolving, and what must I need to learn, and what do I need to let go of, and I'm going to tell you that what ended up happening is, well, I'll just set this up real quick, and then this will be the last story. As a lecturer at San Diego State, your first 3, I don't know the exact rules, but every 3 years you have to be evaluated. Or for the first 3 years, you're evaluated once a year, right? And the first time I got evaluated, I was nervous. Dr. Heather Canary was coming into my classroom. I'm like, oh no. And I remember, like, you were blowing up my phone that morning. I was like, of all mornings, when I'm going to get evaluated? Anyway, I remember it was a stress thing, but I brought it on myself. And anyway, so this year, getting evaluated, are you ready? The evaluations got scheduled late in the semester. Like, there was some change that happened, like, at the top of SDSU. And by the time it went to Professional Studies and Fine Arts and School of Communication, the woman that normally does evaluations didn't have the scheduling available. By the way that the rules, I don't know. There was red tape a couple levels up, and when it trickled down, I was being evaluated in the second to last week of the semester, right? Nobody's in class the second to last week of the semester. And the second to last week of the semester, there's only speaking days scheduled in my class, the public speaking. So you're not supposed to do an evaluation on a speaking day, because you need to evaluate your teaching. You follow? Mm-hmm. And then there should be students in the class, so you can see how you interact with students and how you engage them and how you know. So I was like, oh man. And at first I was like, just my luck. You know, I got to get evaluated. In the second, there's going to be nobody in class. There's nothing left for me to lecture on. How am I going to get my students to attend class just for my evaluation and for an administrative thing? Like, it's hard enough to get them to attend class for their own grade, let alone because I'm being evaluated, you know? So I'm going through all of these thoughts, like, oh, this sucks. It's going to be a terrible evaluation. And there's also, like, low enrollment numbers coming around the corner. So I don't know if you realize, but I was told earlier in the semester that there may not be classes. And then they said, oh, we found 2 classes for you. And I accepted right away, you know, out of, like, I think I've processed this now subconsciously out of fear of loss of identity, right? Are you tracking me?
Yeah.
And so here's the context. So I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I got to find a topic to talk about that can produce a great evaluation, demonstrate my skills, that is valuable for the students. I'm going to have to interrupt their speaking days, push it back, which delays how quickly they can. Do you know, I had all this on my mind. And how do I give the guy the evaluator, something real to evaluate? How do I make it worth their while? How do I tie it into the course curriculum? I was going through. So what I decided to do was I went to content I created for the Institute for Canadian Citizenship. This is 2 summers ago, summer of 23. And I won the project to provide soft skills content, like 3 units of soft skills for what they call newcomers. So in Canada, immigrants, what we would call immigrants, they call newcomers. And Canada, there was government funding available to welcome newcomers, to give them a sense of inclusivity and belonging and, you know, inclusion in the culture, and to help them, right? So the Institute for Canadian Citizenship, I created for them 3 learning units. One was for the coaches and mentors in the program that would be working with the newcomers. The other was career and business development, to help newcomers understand things about career advancement and business development, to get into the workplace and the workforce, and to have some insights there. But the third learning unit was on mental health, right? And so imagine being a newcomer, leaving like a war-torn or political asylum, or imagine like the atrocities that people are escaping from, what kind of trauma that created. And then you're leaving a trauma only to come into a new country, and how traumatizing it can be, and all the loss and depression and anxiety and, you know, assimilation and all, right? And so I decided, you know what? First year students, hopefully they're not leaving the trauma that newcomers are leaving, but whose mental health is challenged more than a first year college student? The homesickness, the fitting in, the adjustments, the roommate issues, the classes that we don't want to take, the I have to take public speaking, or the red pen of the professors, and the size of the institution, and the poor food and whatever, right? So I decided to pull from that content that I created on mental health and give a lecture on mental health and teach my students how to author their state of mind and how to be resilient and to get themselves into any mood they wanted to. And in order to do it, I had to talk about emotions. And so what was the tie-in? I said, hey, you guys, remember when we talked about emotional appeals and pathos and persuasive speaking? Well, we're going to go deeper today and talk about the relationship between emotions and beliefs, ultimately to talk about how beliefs come before all of our behavior. And so how do we, that was the course. And so I just want to share my screen real quick and give a couple of snippets of visual as to the slides, right? Can you see this?
Yeah.
So this is like the slide. This comes straight from the program that I created. But as I went through, like, hey, 3 pillars of leadership. And then I put this on the board and then they fill in the blanks, right? So I did the handouts and everything. So we get here to accountability. That's where I did that quote, accountability will always feel like an attack when we're not ready to be responsible for our own behavior. But what we're focusing on is this motivation piece where there's 2 aspects of motivation. One is to give strategies, tactics, and resources, which I did all semester long. 8 steps to fearless speaking, what to do with my hands, how to prepare, how to create note cards, how to create visual aids. The strategy's there and the students still don't do it. Why? It's because of what's going on inside their heads. So you can see we started to talk about an emotion is, and our emotions are. And so I was just going through and having the students fill in the blanks into their, it was outside of the curriculum. It was extracurricular. I went to the copy room that morning and created these handouts, and they were taking notes right into the handout, which is a method of getting them engaged. And so after we went into what emotions are, then I was able to get into the categories of emotion, the relationship to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and make it all academic, but then ultimately get into our beliefs, right? And what is a belief? And it's a feeling of certainty that something is true, and a belief becomes reality without the burden of being real. And there's always a belief between emotions and beliefs, or a relationship between, and there it is, the things that precede all behavior. Do you see it? There it is. The KloobySnack shows up in the lectures. The KloobySnack is thought leadership. And, I got into how do we author state of mind, and here's the negative mood we don't want to be in. And one of the reasons that we're in that mood is because of what we're focused on. So we can predetermine things that we want to focus on instead to get into a better mood, and just change the ingredients, change the sandwich. So I went through this lecture, and it was the reason I'm sharing this with you, Abby, was like, it was extracurricular. It was the end of the semester. I took the lemons, I turned them into lemonades, and I got my evaluation back, and I'm going to share a couple snippets of that, if you don't mind, just real quick to put a bow on this. But check this out. So I get the teaching evaluation, and clear enthusiasm, high level of prep, connection between punctuation and accountability, mental health, skillfully tying the opening. I was impressed, fill in the blank handout, emotional process. Right? Students were engaged, right? Of course, he has to give some suggestions, but ultimately, your enthusiasm, clarity, strong rapport with the students, command of subject matter, connected theory to practical application. I mean, Abby, this is what I want you to know about me. This is what I want my wife, I want your mom to know about me. Like when I'm in the zone and I'm giving everything I got to the learners and the students and my identity as a professor, I mean, this is exactly what I want. Students are lucky to learn from you. And Abby, I wish, like, there were so many years where I'm like, I wish you knew how lucky you are to have me as your dad, but I'm too busy like apologizing for the mistakes that I make and how human I am to like help this land. But here's what's interesting about all of this, right? That could be my last lecture. That could be the last lecture out of 23 years, 46 semesters, City College, Miramar, educational cultural complex like Miramar Air Base, San Diego State, college level learners, right? Giving back. This is what I have to learn. Going back to this, right? I have to get rid of identity as a professor and go advance my career. There's other communities, there's other colleagues, there's other clients waiting for what I can bring to those environments. But the classroom is a comfort zone. Clearly, I've mastered what I do in the classroom. I can't stay there forever. It's a comfort zone. I must learn how to scale and exit companies. I must learn how to protect wealth and generate wealth. I must learn how to manage finances and on and on, escape generational traumas and rewrite, the playbooks. There's other stuff I got to do. And I know you're watching. I know you're watching every step of the way. I have to be the best example I could possibly be. And like, holy shit, like pass me the tissues, right? It is deeply emotional to imagine that I might have given my last lecture, but pass me the tissues and hold my beer because I'm going. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I can't wait for you to come home and spend some holiday time with us. Last call. This has been a huge installment of KloobySnacks, but we had 2 to cover to make up for last week. And I wanted to get that therapeutic, emotional announcement out about, you know, how proud I am that if that's the last lecture I ever give in the classroom, well, I'm dropping the dry erase marker, right? Like I'm dropping whatever it is. Like I'm pretty proud of what I've done as a professor, and I can't wait to move on and be a better, even better role model for you. So last call, Abby.
I got nothing. I'm almost done with this semester. That's about that. I have like 2 finals left, and I have 2 essays due. I had all my journalism stuff done. It's the only class that I have my full grade for. I have an A in journalism, which you might think should happen, but he's weirdly a very, very difficult grader, which has been really annoying. But I turned in my final portfolio, which was like an investigative journalism story plus like reflection and all this stuff. So that was really fun, actually. Investigative journalism, never really considered that. But yeah, so turned that in, and I got an A on that, and I'm done with that class. But now the rest of them, I have 4 more that I'm still waiting on, but I feel really good for. So I'm excited.
So you just no classes, just finals left now, right?
Yeah, we haven't had class since Tuesday. Tuesday was our last class, and
so then no more projects to turn in either. It's just studying for finals and taking exams.
Final on Thursday. I have my architectural art history final on Wednesday, and then tomorrow, Monday, I have my final essay due for my like composition class, and that's about how short form social media is changing journalism and how people don't care about journalists anymore because they care about like influencers and people like on social media personalities, and how journalism has to shift to like adjust to that change. So I'm writing about that. And that's due tomorrow. And then on Tuesday,
one thing that'll always be true though in that adjustment. I sent you a text on this, like to give you something that maybe be able to write around or create a through line, is delivering audiences to advertisers. That doesn't change whether you're an influencer or a journalist. Your job, right? Well, journalists is to get the facts right and to question authority, and on and on and on and on. But newspapers and media outlets, that the whole game is deliver audiences to advertisers. It's eyeball economy, right? Attention economy. So I'm so fascinated with what you're learning. I wish I could go to all your classes with you.
Well, we didn't actually even learn about that. The assignment was to talk about how some technology is going to affect what field you want to go into. So that's what I'm doing. And then so that's due tomorrow. And then so I'm going to be working on that all day. And then Tuesday I have my final paper for theology due. So I have no more like physical things, it's all online, but
theology, agricultural, architecture, journalism, and math.
Yeah.
Oh, agriculture. Wait, no, architectural history.
Architectural art history.
Architectural art history, theology, journalism, and math.
Yeah, and composition.
Oh, composite. Yeah. So yeah, which of these doesn't go? Like the math is such an outlier, right? But you're doing well there too, yeah?
Well, in my next semester classes, I'm taking philosophy, I'm taking TV, media, and representation. I'm taking my comm class. I'm taking history, and then there's some other one that also is in the same. Oh, and then philosophy. So I'm no math, no STEM.
Yeah, liberal arts, yeah. Really cool. And then you come back on the 19th, right?
Yep, on Friday at like 9 a.m.
Oh, all right, well, super good. Well, in terms of what we were trying to achieve today, which is sharing our Klooby Snacks with the world and dialoguing around it and sharing our daddy-daughter relationship with the world with all apologies and healing and forgiveness and facing the facts of, how tough it is included, we're in good shape. Anything else for this week before we dismiss?
No, I'm kind of sad that I have one last one to read.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know out there, Abby wrote the responses to the first 12 of each, and then the baker's dozen, the 13th in each category, I wrote. So to end each, I wrote an opening to each section, and then I wrote the final response in each to be a bookend in between Abby's genius in the middle. So yeah, it is a little sad, but
oh my gosh,
it's okay.
I was just reading yours.
Oh, the last one? Don't read it now. No, it's gonna be. We're gonna need tissues and Kleenex, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through it. It's gonna be so emotional.
I feel like I can do it.
Are you gonna read my response? We'll see. We'll jump off that bridge when we get to it. But last call for this morning. Anything else, Abby?
I got nothing.
All right. I love you. I believe in you. Go kick some butt and leave New York with a sore foot from kicking so much butt on your finals. And congratulations in advance on completing first year of college away from home. It's a very special time in life that doesn't repeat. There's nothing like that first semester and how wide the eyes are open and the challenge to adjust. And I'm thrilled that you're having the successes that you're having. I'm eternally proud of you, Abby. Eternally proud of you. All right. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
I'm just